So now we are going to create, after creating, the dimensions, the product here, and the employee, the customer, we need to create our time dimensions. And after that, we're going to create a fact table 1 and fact table 2. So how we are going to create our time dimension? First of all, let's create a new job and name it to dim time. And we should not have a space here. So let's add here something. And we finish after that. Okay, so we can create date from our data warehouse table, or we can create, like, we generate dates using some components in Talend, which is, like, I think it is a better way to create the time dimension. It's better than, like, extracting data from data source and try to load only those date, because, like, you feel like you are limited. So it's better to generate dates from, like, the minimum date in your data source and generate, like, for 10 years or whatever, like, your business is going for. And how we're going to do that? So first of all, we need Degenerate Row, which is, like, allow us to generate data. And as you see here, it's a green component. Double click in this component, and we see here that we can create some columns. So we need to create one column and change the type of this column to the date, and rename the column to date. And we have some parameters here. We have the date in MB and the date type. So if we read the command here, so here, as you see, it's the date that we are going to update, and here are the values that we are going to add, and here the type of date. So which means the month, and if we write the DD here, like, these are the full date, and if we write only the Y 4 times here, which means, like, the year. So let's start by the date type. I need the full date here, so I just type DD. And for the MB here, we need to create a sequence that make it possible to loop through the data and generate, like, whatever rows we want to generate. So if we wanna generate 4,000, so we can generate 4,000, and so on. So how to create this? Just replace here to numeric sequence, and here we need to do something -1. I will explain -1 why we use it here. Press OK, and for my date here, we need to create a global variable in Talend and give it a starting point. So what I mean by that, let's go to Talend here. Let's go to context. So here we create a global variables. As you see here, I just created before, but I'm going to create it again. So we press here in the plus button. We give a name, whatever name for our variable. We give it a type of date. And for the value, we need to pick the minimum value of the date in our staging area. So we go to our SQL server. We select the minimum order date here. And if we select this code here, as you see, we have 1996-74, our min date. So we copy this variable here and just type it here. So this is how we create our global variable. We don't need this variable because we just have one. We delete it. After that, we go to our T-row again, and we go to parameters, and here we need to type context and dot the name of our variable, start date. Nice. Now I said why we add -1. As you see here, this is the variable here is what date to update. So if we started by using the sequence number, it will ignore this first date. And actually, we need this date to be in our dimension. So what we need to do, the sequence here, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So what we need to do, just -1 here. So it started from here, then it continued to add the dates and update them. Press OK now. After this, we need to create our tmap to create the date and the month and the year. So how to create that? So first of all, let's create an output. Let's create our security here. we need to change the type to integer, and we need to create a sequence, and we need to rename this here to 2 to not make the conflict with the sequence of the date. Okay, and let's press OK. We need to create some columns here. Our circuit key column, our full date ID, and our day and month and year. Here we need to name the circuit key to that key. The column here should be date ID, and here day. Also here to month, and finally to year. And we need to deselect this null variables. The type here should be an integer because it is an increment number. Here should be to a date, and here should be strings. And now we need to drag and drop here this variable and the date here. For the day and month and year, how we are going to extract those data from the date. It is easy. We go to Talend date here function. We have a function with the name format date that extract a date or I mean whatever date format we need by using a variable date and the type of the format, and the result is a string. So what we need to do, first of all, we need to create our DD here type, and for our variable should be row 1 and dot date. Press OK, we copy this and press OK. And the second column, which is the month, is the same thing. We just need to change the type to which is the month. And finally, for the year, we need to change the type to for Y and press OK. And now we should change the length to 10. Okay. And after that, I think everything is okay. Now we need just to press here to mention that the date key is a primary key. Press OK. And let's check our generate date if there is any problem. Yes, let's preview the date here and see how it works. As you see here, we have 10 rows of the date because just here it's just a preview. And our numbers of rows for row generator should be like around, I don't know, 8,000 maybe. It depends on how dates you want. So I'm just picking 8,000. And if if you want a specific date, I think you should just calculate it, and you're gonna know a specific like your target. And let's press OK. And if you wanna check if the data or the job works fine before loading the data to our data warehouse, we need just to use like the tlog row here, and it helps us to see if the job works fine. So let's just run the job here. And as you see here, we have around 2018 row here, and everything is working fine. As you see here, there is the circuit key here and the full date, and also the dates and the month and year. So what we do now, we need only to pick our connection, which is our data warehouse, and link our team up, of course, to our data warehouse. Let's just pick the output one here. And for the data warehouse configuration, we need to name the table to dim time. And the auction should be drop table if it exists. No, I mean create table if it doesn't exist. And for the auctions here, insert if it does not exist. And if we run the job here, it start and the data is loaded into the data warehouse. Good. If we check our data warehouse again, Let's refresh the tables. No, this is the staging area, sorry. Let's go to SafePointDB tables. And here we are, we are having like the team time or the time dimension. And as you see here, we have the date key and the date ID and the date, the month, and year. Good. So after finishing the dimension time, what we now to create, we need to create a fact table one. Our schema looks like this. So we need to put the product ID and the employee ID, the customer ID, and we need the time ID and also the revenue. So how we're going to do that? We need to create another job here and give it a name of fact01 and finish. So before creating the fact table, I want to mention some errors that I made in this project. It's a small error, but it causes a problem in our data warehouse. So the error was here. The main be here by here is like we go to our save point here, staging area, and we check our employees. I mean order table. We're gonna see some weird behavior if in the customer ID we only have numbers here. We don't have any string variable for our SQL table. And this is so weird because if we check our customer dimension in our save point, the table contains two keys, contain the access table keys and also the SQL table keys. So what are those data? Because if we check our data source here in tables, when we go our orders here, we're gonna have those data here as you see. So we have the SQL server and also we have some data of course, of uh, access table. So how we're gonna fix this problem? We need to go our staging area and do some fixing our team ups and stuff. And also we should do that automatically, not updating the data manually. So as you see here in our first team up, let's check the orders and let's check if there are any problem. So we have the employee ID, the customer ID, the order date, and the ship date. This is how the orders looks like. And if we check in our second team up, we see that we have the customer ID, the employee ID. So the order here is not as the same order in the first table or first team up. So first of all, we need to change the order, which is necessary. So now we have the same order. And let's press OK. Let's execute this code first, I mean this job, and see if it works fine. Now there are some errors here. Uh, yeah, let me check again. Why these errors? Yes, so we changed the order. We need also to fix our unit. So this is the ship date, order date, the customer ID, the employee ID. Also for the second name of employee ID, customer ID, and ship date. So here, what we need to do, go to unit and refix our model here. So just delete this. So now what we need to do, we need to reschedule our unit. I mean, remodel unit here. Let's press OK, and now let's execute the, code, the job again. It is starting. Okay, everything is okay now. We have 878. And if we check our order date, yeah, sorry. Yeah, there is a problem. Yeah, because we changed, I think we changed the orders of the columns. And now, as you see here, we have the employee ID, of the customer ID, and all our customer of SQL Server, as you see here. So now our staging area is working fine, and we should have like around 878 rows. Now we will not have any issues when we're doing our lookups with our dimensions to create our loaded data in the data warehouse. So now we can create our job design for the fact table. So let's go to our project in SafePoint, which is the data warehouse SafePoint. So now we can create our job design So what we need to do, we need to drag and drop the dimensions and also the orders and order detail to calculate the revenue, which is the product of the quantity and the unit, I mean the price unit. So let's go to our metadata here and let's go to connection. And for the table and schema, we need the orders details and we need also the orders here. So let's drag and drop them in the job design. And for our dimensions, we need the customer and also we need the time and product and employee, of course. Let's put them here and put them as an input, of course. After that, we need to link those tables with Thema. I mean, yes, of course, there are tables and also our connection to the database. So let's be aware of something. The orders details here should be the main row because we are doing the lookup with it. So let's pick our team up here and let's link our orders here. Also, let's link our date time. I mean, the dimension of the time. Let's drag and drop here. Let's link our dimension, employee dimension, and also the customer. And finally, let's do that for product. Okay, after linking all the tables to team up, we double click in our team up here. And now we should create an output, of course. And how we are going to join this rows or table. So we need only to type the name of the row here, and we write the name of the column that we are going to join on it. So as we see here, we need to join with an order ID, and it should be not like that. Okay, as you see here, the link just been created here with the first table, and we need to link now the orders here with the time using the order date here and using the business key, of course, so row one dot order date. No, this is not row one. This is the row two, of course, because as you see here, the name of the row is not row two, so this is not row one. And here for the employee, we need to type row two dot employee. I think it's uppercase. We should write it the same way. And here ID. And for the customer, also we need to type row two one dot customer uppercase customer ID. And we see that there is a link here also. And finally, for the product, we need to type row one because the product is in row one. And here we need to type the business key ID. Okay, as you see here, there is a link, of course. So everything is linked now, but we should select the type of the join, which is like what type of join we need to do. So the type of join model is inner join. So I need to switch all our tables to inner joins here, as you see. And we go for the employee, of course, also. And finally, for the customer. Okay, so here. And finally, what we need to do is drag and drop the columns here. So let's start by the day key here. And also for our employees and our customer and the product key here. And finally, we need to create a new column here, and that where we're gonna calculate our revenue. So what we need to do, unit price and multiply it with the quantity. And the type of this column should be a float, of course, not need to be the data around it. So we need to pick a float here. And those are the primary keys of our data warehouse, and the length here should be 10. Now I think we should apply the team up, and before inserting the data to the data warehouse, let's check our data with Talend row. Okay, so let's save the job, and now we execute the job and see if the data is clean. Yes, there is a problem here or the date. I think I made a mistake while what's the problem here? Yes, I forgot something. I forgot that we did some changing on our orders here. So what we need to do, we need to retrieve the schema from our staging area. So let's go to the staging area here. Let's go to orders. and edit the schema, and we're gonna retrieve the schema again. Press OK, and now we press OK and save the job. And yes, okay, let's apply our job here and go to orders ID here. Let's go to team up. There any change in here? Okay, we have employee ID, order date, order ID, order date. Yes, and of course here we should not forget about something that I made a mistake also with. Okay, now this is order date. Okay, everything is okay. Let's just press OK now and rerun the job. And before rerun the job, we need to save the job, of course, and just run it now. And let's see the output. Okay, there is another problem here. Say that order date is an invalid column. What is this order date? Oh no, is there a, let me check what is this order date here. Let's go here. So order ID, order date. Yes, yes, there is a problem here because the order date should not be written like that. It is an order date like that, and now it just guess the query. Okay, I think now we can run the query. Okay, now the data is inserted, and now that we have like 2,210, which is good. And as we see here, there are null values. There is no the data. All the data is like cleansed, as you see here. And what we need to do is to load the data in our data warehouse and check the data there if there are any problems or misbehavior. So we drag and drop our data warehouse here as an output, of course, and link our team up here with the output one with the data warehouse, and go to our data warehouse here, and we need to name the table to fact1. Okay, and we can name it with our name. It depends on our business, of course. And for the optional table, we need to create a table if it doesn't exist, and insert if there is no update or there is no new data. So let's save the job here and run it. Okay, as you see here, the data is loading. Okay, nice. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna to SQL Server and check our tables. So in our staging, I mean our data warehouse in SafePoint, we need to refresh our table. No, yeah, there is a problem. We need to redo that because the table it was existing, and what we need to do rerun our job here. Not a problem. So just rerun the script again. Okay, now if we refresh our table here, we're gonna see that our table contains data. So as you see here, there are some customers and employees and then product key, also the date keys. So this is the circuit keys, and here are the yes, I forgot something. This is the new column, which is our revenue. I forgot to rename it, so it's easy. Just go here and in our team up, and here we should name our column to revenue before going to reapply this job. And I wanna check something. I want to go to my customer here, check something here in case. So I'm gonna copy this name and I go to my data warehouse here and press where. I mean, let me check something. I need to get my this is the circuit key of my customer. So I need to get this value and where customer 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 key equal to this number. Okay, so as you see here, so our SQL data exists, and this is the surrogate key of that customer, and this is the product keys and employee keys and our revenue. So how to fix the revenue? It's easy. Just I mean, let's go to change our data warehouse auction table. So we need to drop the table first without deleting it from our server here. Just do it here, and after that we reconfigure our data warehouse. So the data is inserting. It's loading to the WareHouse. Okay, nice. And now let's reconfigure our action tables. Okay, let's go to our data warehouse. And now if we execute again, yeah, I'm sorry, let's go here. No, this is the table. You can, yeah, this is not main. You can, of course, need to rename it to revenue. Now, if we execute the code, as you see here, this is the revenue. Okay, so this is how to create a fact table, first fact table. And now what we're gonna do, we're going to create a second fact table, which is easy. We don't need the order details. We need the order and the time and the employee and yes, and the customer. We don't need the product to calculate the number of orders, delivered orders and non-delivered orders, and the total of delivered. I mean, the total of orders. So what we need to do, we need to create a job for it. So let's create a job here, new job here, and let's type fact02. Okay, and we need to make it close together. Okay, and finish. And let's just save our first job here. Let's save it. Okay, and here what we need as a table, we need our customer dimension and also employee dimension and the time. We don't need our product here. And for our staging area, we need orders. So our main table it is orders, and we link it to team up. And now we need to link other tables like time and employee and of course others. So let's just press here link, and also we need to link the employee and the customer. Okay, and in our team up here, we need to create an output, and we need variables. Of course, we need I think 3 variables. I will explain those variables. What does. I will explain those variables. So we need to drag and drop the customer, the date key here, the employee key, of course. Yeah, that's a mistake here. Should be here. Employee key here, and also the customer key. And here in variables, we are going to calculate uh, the delivered orders and non-delivered orders, and also the sum of those variables. So how we are going to calculate those? We can do a trick. We can calculate, we can count the non-value of the ship date, or we can create this kind of formula. Now we are going to use the relational Talend function. The function is null, and we give it a value here, row 1 is our ship date. Yes, ship date. And we are asking this variable if it's null. So if there's a null value here, we should do 0, else do 1. So if it's null here, like press 0. If it's null, if it's not, no, I'm sorry. So if it's null here, we should press 1. Okay. So I'm going to count non-delivered data and non-delivered orders. So here I'm asking this value. So if the function returns true, I need to put in my rows 1. Else, if it's false, I need to put 0. So here the variable here is non-delivered order. And in a second, in my second variable, it's the same thing, but what I'm going to calculate is the delivered order. So I just need to switch between 1 and 0. So if the data is null, I need to put 0. If it's not, so I need to put 1. Okay. And for my total, which is the whole number, I mean the non-delivered and delivered, we need to sum those two variables. So let's just put here deliver. Okay, and a variable 3 here, which is the sum. And just what you need to do is drag and drop here and plus deliver it. And we need to change the type, of course, to a integer. Okay. And here we need to create columns, 3 columns. So here non-deliver here they live, and finally total MB order. And we need to drag and drop those variables here. And do some here. And finally, we need to choose, to change the type, of course, to integer, not string. And this is should not be null, and the data should be 10, or we can let it to automatically. SQL will figure out those length. So I think everything is okay. We have the date key, we have the employee key, the customer key, the rows. The measures. So let's press OK now. And always before going to load the data to data warehouse, let's test them and see if there are errors or misbehavior. So let's just save the job here and press run. Okay, there are some misbehavior, of course. Yes, I know, because I know why there is this misbehavior. Actually, there is no misbehavior. So this zero here it means that because in our team up, as you see here, we mentioned that uh, if there is any null value here, you should put, if there is one null value here, put it 1, else 0. So this is why we have zeros in here in our measures. I forgot that. But there is a misbehavior here, as you see that the rows is so big here. The number of rows is so big because we forget to change the type of, we didn't make the lookup, and we need to change also the type of the lookup. So here, what we need to do, we need to type row 1 and press here order date. Okay, and it should not be here, it should be here, the date ID. And here we need to type row 1 and employee ID. And finally here we should type row 1 and should be customer ID. There is a problem here. It would be lowercase ID. Okay, everything is okay now. We can press OK and let's rerun it again. Let's see how numbers we are gonna have. Okay, there is a problem here. Why? Yeah, cannot be string. What's the problem here? Row ID. Yes, oh my god, I should be here in the second column with the business key, of course, not with the circuit key. So let's run a job again. It's starting. Yes, now we can say that we have a meaningful number of rows. So what we need to do now, we need to create our data warehouse. A new table in our data warehouse, which is the second fact table, and the link. We link our team up with this table, and the configuration always should be the same. So we just name the table here to fact02. And the action table is create table if it exists, and here insert if it doesn't exist. Let's run our job. So as you see here, the data is loading, and we are having like 878. If we go our SQL here and refresh our tables in our SavePoint data warehouse, of course, there is our table, the second fact table. So okay, so there is a misbehavior here. We're gonna figure out this misbehavior why. So we have 0, 0, 2, 2, 2, and everything is okay here. Yeah, those errors happens because there is some stuff we didn't figure it out. Yes, which is the type of, as I said, the type of match model or join model. So here we need to change the type to inner join, and also here to inner join. I forgot to do that. So that's why we have like here it should be null value, of course, because it's left join. But data warehouse like should load not a blank or not null value. So it put here zeros because we configured our team up to not let the values, and they are primary key. So here should not be nullable. So automatically SQL put zeros there. So to fix this problem, we need only the true data. So we need to configure our join model to inner join. And our customer here also we need to configure to change the type to inner join. Press OK before executing. You should change the configuration here to drop the table, just to not delete it manually. So data are inserted now, and now we are having 876. And if we rerun the code again, now we are having a good data without any misbehavior, as you see. So this is the number of non-delivered. So we can have like some ones here, and this is delivered, and this is, as you see here, some numbers is here, and this is the total. Okay, good. So I think this is it, and we need to just configure our reconfigure to here and save the job. So overall, this is how we create our data warehouse using Talend. So we saw that first of all, we need to create a staging area, how to join the table, how to do some transformation and some cleansing if necessary. And after that, after the staging area, we saw how to create a new project and how to create jobs to load our dimensions to our data warehouse, and also load the fact table and how to calculate the measure using Talend, of course. And before jumping to the all-up system or all-up area, we need to, I mean, we are going to see this project again using another ETL, which is SSIS, and we are going to see the difference between Talend and SSIS. I mean, the process is the same, but the way how we use SSIS and Talend is different, and what's are the difference between the components and how we use them, especially because we saw in Talend the team up that do all, as we can say, everything. So what is the alternative of team up in SSIS? And I want to say something. So if you are familiar with any kind of ETL, probably maybe SSIS or Talend or NIM. So switching to another TL doesn't need a big time because you have the basics, you have the knowledge of components, and you know what the process of ETL. So when you switch, it will take a little bit of time to learn the new component and how it works, and you will be good in a project in the future. So what we are going to do in the next video is we are going to see how to implement this project again in SSIS. And for the name ETL, I have another project which is so interesting. So the project is going to be a data warehouse of a database that contains data about water sensors. And the project is going to be from the staging area, of course, from the data source to staging area. Then after that, loading the data to the data warehouse, we are going to see some machine learning, how to use machine learning in NIM because it's super powerful. And my friend is going to show this project, I mean this Talend project, the Northwind project, of course, in another ETL, which is Airflow. So basically, what we are trying to do is to show you different type of ETL, different type of how to process the data and how to process, how to create data warehouse using different ETL. So thank you so much for watching. Any questions, any feedback, any suggestion, it would be a pleasure to let us comments below our videos in the section of comments. And thank you and see you later.